In the previous tutorial, we covered using JavaScript promises. While learning to use promises is critically important, you will also need to create your own promises. That is exactly what we will cover in this tutorial. Welcome to another tutorial from All Things JavaScript, where we help bridge the gap between novice and expert. As we talked about in our last tutorial, some APIs and some commands automatically return promises. Therefore, it is important to know how to use and work with promises. But you will also need to create your own promises. So let's look at how we do that. Now, first, I want to take a look at some of the code from our last tutorial, just to provide some reminders. If you remember, this was the last bit of code that we worked with in the tutorial on using promises. And you can see we chained together a lot of different then methods as we work through this. Now, here's the part I want to remind you of. Whenever you use a then method, technically we can pass in two functions. We only passed in a single function, which function was called if the promise was successful. And then we had a catch method down here that would take care of any errors. But technically, we could deal with an error as a second function. So for example, in this then method, I could put a comma and then another function that would handle the rejection. And then we do something with that. So that's the part I wanted to remind you of as we start creating promises. That the then method takes two separate functions, one for resolving it and one for rejecting it. All right, now let me get rid of this code so we can start looking at creating our own promises. Now, to create a promise, you use the promise constructor. And we pass in a callback function. Now, this callback function sets up what the promise will do. And this callback function has two important parameters, a resolve function and a reject function. Okay, so those two things we just looked at with the then method, we need to define when we set up our promise. So let's go through this step by step so we can present this in a way that is understandable. So first, let's look at creating a promise. As I said, you must use the promise constructor. When you're using a constructor, you must use the new keyword. So like this. That is how you would create a new promise. Now, in the process of creating that promise, you need to pass in a callback function. Right here in the parentheses, we pass in a callback function. And the purpose of that callback function is to set up what the promise is going to do and to define when resolve and reject are called. Okay? So let's look at that. Let's add a callback function. Now, in this callback function, it's going to have two parameters, as mentioned. One is a function that will be called when the promise is resolved. The other is a function that will be called when the promise is rejected. So this is the callback function we pass in. It also takes two functions as parameters. A function that will be invoked when the promise is resolved, and a function that will be invoked when the promise is rejected or fails. Now, hang on. We're going to tie this into the then method in a minute, but let's finish defining our promise and then take a look at it. So I'm going to just use a set timeout. Set timeout is asynchronous, and so I'm going to use that inside of this promise to make the promise act in an asynchronous manner. So let's just set that up. And as you know, with set timeout, we need to give it an amount of time. we're going to give it 4 seconds. So set timeout will not fire until 4 seconds is up. When it does fire, it invokes this function. Okay? Now, how are we going to make this work with a promise? Well, let's say that when set timeout fires, let's go ahead and call the resolve function. We'll call resolve, and let's pass it a value. This is the value that comes from the promise. This can be anything we decide it to be. I'm just going to send the word done. All right, so there we've set up our first promise. And what I want to do is just log that to the console first before we start using it, just so we can see what it looks like. So I'm going to save that, open the console here, and then let's refresh. Now here we have the promise that's returned. And we're displaying it because of the console log statement I did. Right here. This console log statement here is displaying our promise. We can see that it's pending. That's the information we get about it. Now, if we had waited long enough for the promise to be resolved, we wouldn't see pending down here, but we would see that it was taken care of. Let me just show you that really quick. So if I refresh, now this part here will always say pending because that's already been printed to the console. So it's not going to change. But if we wait to open up our promise until 4 seconds have passed, then notice what we get. It shows that it is resolved, and it also assigns a value, the done value that we passed. So right here is where we pass that done value. Okay? So we now see that we have a promise. Variable A contains a promise using the promise constructor. But let's now look at how we would use that promise. Now remember, to use the promise, we have the method then. So we would do something like this. We use then, and remember with then we pass in 2 functions. One is for resolve, one is for reject. Okay, now are you beginning to see how this connects? If not, let me explain it in just a moment. Let me finish defining this first function. Because the resolve function will receive a value, or could receive a value, we put a parameter there for that. Then what are we going to do with it? We're just going to log to the console the value. That's all we're going to do. Nothing too crazy. Now, look at the connection here between the then method. This function here gets passed to resolve. So when resolve is invoked, it's invoking this function. All right? If we were to do a second function, which we'll do in just a minute, it gets passed to reject. Let's take a look at this first, then we'll do the reject function. So I'm going to save that. We'll refresh. We get our async code, console log statement. Then we get the done value once 4 seconds have passed. So that worked great. Now, with this then method, we can pass in a second function. And that will receive a value as well. And let's just log to the console. This time, let's indicate rejected. And then we'll concatenate the value on the end, something like that. All right? Now, if we run this, when set timeout finishes, it's going to invoke resolve. So it will invoke this first function. As we've already seen, it's done that. What if we change this to reject? We save that. And let's go ahead and refresh. After 4 seconds, we see rejected. So we see that the reject function was invoked, this one here, instead of the resolve function, because that's the one we chose to call when we set up our promise. So we determine when resolve and reject is invoked when we set up our promise. All right, so there's the creation of a promise. Now, let's look at how we would create a function with a promise. It's a very simple thing to do. And I'm going to look at some of the functions that we did in the previous tutorial. I set these up as a part of the previous tutorial. Now take a look at these. There's two functions here which we could call, and they would return a promise. The way they return a promise is because we create a promise with the constructor, just like we did before. The difference is we return it. So we have the function return that promise, and then we're able to act on it with the then method. So something like this. Async function, we call that. We can then act on it with then. And then we can display to the console what that is, what that value is that's passed in. Let's go ahead and give that a try. We need to close off the parentheses there. We see that promise is pending, and there we get the resolve function being invoked. Async function has resolved. Let me jump back just so you can see that. Async function has resolved is the value that we pass when we resolve it. Okay? So creating a function with a promise, we simply return the promise. And as you can see on the console, that promise was returned. And then we use the then method to act on that promise. So there we've created a function. Now, just to conclude, let's do one more thing. What I'd like to do is reformat set timeout to act as a promise. So we're going to use set timeout. We're going to create a function, and that function will act like set timeout, but it will return a promise. So we can use it like a promise. We can use the then method. All right. Now, I have to give credit for this idea from the Coding Train YouTube channel that I've watched. I think it was a great idea to help show the creation of promises, and so that's why I'm using the same idea here. So let's look at how we would do that. So I'm going to create a new function, and this function is going to be used in place of set timeout as a promise instead of a callback. And so I'm going to call it set timeout P. The P meaning it returns a promise. And so we just set up our function. We're going to have a parameter that we can pass in the amount of time that will be used. Just like we do a set timeout, we pass in an amount of time. We're going to do that with our promise as well. All right, so here's our function. Now, in order for it to act like a promise, remember, we need to return a new promise. We create a promise with the promise constructor. And so return new promise. And what do we pass in when we create a promise? What do we pass in the promise constructor? We pass in a callback function. And that has two parameters, one for the resolve function and one for the reject function. So these two variables I've just created are going to represent those two functions. Then we set up what our function does. We want this to replace set timeout. So what we want the function to do is call set timeout. Now, set timeout, what is it going to do when it finishes? It's simply going to invoke the resolve function. Okay? So set timeout, we pass in a function. Usually it's an anonymous, but in this case, we're just going to pass in the resolve function because we want that to be invoked when it is done. And then the second parameter is the time. And so the time that gets passed into our function will be used for set timeout. Now this will act as a promise because it's returning a new promise. So let's look at how we would use that. Let me scroll down a bit here so we can see this a little better. We can use it by calling set timeout P, and we can pass in a value. Let's pass in 2 seconds. Then how do we respond to that once it's done? We use the then method. And we're going to pass in a function that's going to be invoked when it resolves correctly. And all we're going to do is just log to the console done. So nothing too crazy. So let me save that. Let's see, do we still have stuff over here? Let me comment out this so we can see what's actually happening here. By the way, I have two JS files just so I can separate these functions. Okay, now we got that. Let's go ahead and see how this set timeout p function works. I'm going to go ahead and refresh. The 2 seconds expires and it displays done. All right, now how would we use the reject function? In what cases would we want this function to reject, to not work, to fail? Well, most likely we'd want that to happen if somebody passed in a value that was not a number. All right, if it's not a number, this thing's not going to work, and so we'd want it to fail at that point. So let's see how we would do that. We can simply run an if statement here inside our promise. Remember, inside our promise is where we set up how our promise works. So we do an if statement is NaN, meaning not a number. If time is not a number, then what do? Well, we invoke reject. And let's pass a value. A number is required. That's the value we're going to pass. That's really our error message. So now we have the reject function set up. How would we take advantage of that in calling our set timeout p function? Well, a couple of ways. With the then method, we can pass in a second function. Remember, we can do a comma here and send in a second function. But another way, we can use the catch method. And that's what I'm going to do. The value it's going to grab is placed in the ERR variable. And then what are we going to do with that? We're going to log an error to the console. And the error we're going to log in is the value that's passed in. So there we go. Save this. Let's run it. When it has a number, it displays done. When it has something other than a number, we get a number is required. It rejects it immediately. Okay? So there we have the catch method is called to display the error. All right, now before we're finished here, one last thing I want to mention, and I mentioned this in the last tutorial. With these simple functions here, they could be arrow functions. We have one line, and an arrow function will work very well. And the reason I mentioned that is that many times you'll see promises used with arrow functions, so I just want you to be aware of that. I haven't used arrow functions in this tutorial simply because I think for most people that are getting started with JavaScript or have only been involved in JavaScript for a little time, using the arrow functions can confuse things a little bit. So I purposely avoided them in this discussion. All right, now before we're done here, please hit the like button. It can help others find this tutorial. Also hit the bell button to be notified about new tutorials. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button or click the circle link on the left, the one with my face. I release a new tutorial each week. You can click the video link in the center to access another tutorial right away, or click the link on the right to visit my website, allthingsjavascript.com, for full courses and a complete list of tutorials. Thanks for watching.